Hi guys, my name's Chris. Um, where to begin? Currently, I'm a teacher, an English teacher in Vietnam. In my spare time, I'm learning web development and coding. Some of my hobbies are playing chess, writing music, and am I an artist? Good question. I've always said an artist makes art. Right now, I'm not actively making art, so not sure if I could call myself one right now. However, uh, yes, I've got quite a lot of art in my portfolio, and looking back at this 2015 show has been really interesting for me. So, I think everyone should have some life-changing experiences while in college. Uh, for me, artistically, probably the biggest game changer was reading Dialogues with Marcel Duchamp. Uh, it's an interview book by Pierre Caban. Uh, that was a big game changer for me. Really changed the way how I thought about art then and still to this day. So I was thinking about this, and it's a bit difficult to trace exactly. There were a lot of concepts I was playing with. And as I shifted to this series of work, it was a big departure for some of my older work. Whereas in the past, I was really deep into a lot of postmodernism uh, influences, and my work was a lot maybe more ironic. But in this series, I really dug deep into the formalist influences that I have. And so I looked at a lot of surprising relationships in formalism and started to build some conceptual dichotomies. So in this series, it looked at a lot of relationships between inside, outside, between uh, like symbol and meaning. And so a lot of the work I was looking at was trying to remove the meaning from symbols and signs in order to look at it formally. Uh, that was a big influence in this series of work, but there was a lot of ideas going around. That's a difficult question. So some of the most enjoyable materials to sculpt with were some of the most unobtainable for me. In my undergraduate career, I studied quite a few types of media. One of my favorite things to do was welding in the studio. Uh, Also metal casting with bronze aluminum. At one point, I got to a bunch of sculpture students. We all joined a engineering class in the rapid prototyping lab. And so we were working with industrial 3D scanners and 3D printers. That was a lot of fun. But for this series of work, uh, probably the most enjoyable thing for me is to work with just the wood. Wood is simple, wood is fun, uh, can never go wrong. Least enjoyable would be the carpet I worked with. All of the carpet I worked with on those pieces was reclaimed or found, which involved lifting it from curbsides and trash and cleaning it up. Not the most enjoyable material. This is a tough one. I think I know your favorite piece, actually, man. It's one of my favorite too. I was trying to think back on some of the pieces I thought that were really timeless. So the one piece I'm talking about, guys, is it was from a series I did called Follies. It's about entropy, things degrading over time. So I took a slice of pizza, Little Caesars hot and ready, and cast it in bronze. I use like ferric oxide to stain the pepperoni to make it rust colored, and yeah. So during critique, my professor, he was like, "You took the worst pizza and you made it immortal." I still have it at home. Yes and no. Formally, sometimes. Conceptually, probably not. Uh, for me, I would say I most enjoy looking at ideas that are outside of my head. We kind of, I think we need other people's ideas and influences to push us further in our critical thinking about our own work. So, yes and no. If a piece is really conceptually interesting, that might be really important. However, it can just be really technically or formally impressive, and that could be something worth admiring as well. So I think that you really need to have an urge to explore a topic, but not just any topic, and a topic that can expand the closer you look. So for me, that started out with some vague ideas about street and space and thinking about the space around me. But then it got deeper and deeper into these formalist explorations and some really cool relationships between space and concept, personal space, public space. And yeah, the other thing I think is just personality. I mean, I've met a lot of artists that kind of lose interest really quickly in something, and they really struggle to finish work. Sometimes that includes myself, but so just having kind of like some obsession or drive to keep going and see something through. So I've been a bit removed from fine arts since about 2017. I had a series of work I finished then that I was unable to photograph because of conditions of light. It's really dark in my hometown in the winter. Anyways, yeah, so some new projects I'm looking at. I've had some ideas floating in my head for some web-based art, sort of like Raphael Rosendahl, but more in line with my aesthetic and ideas. Another thing, I've got some plans for some large scale installation pieces, but yeah, and to me, I think like an idea is good if it sticks with you for years and years and you don't let go of it. So I feel pretty good about some of these pieces, but just lacking the funds and the space. I envy you 2D artists out there.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I wouldn't say I've had too much artistic anxiety. I guess the biggest anxiety you can have is comparing yourself too much to others and worrying too much about what other people think. So for me, I suppose I've overcome that by sort of popping out of my art bubble. I think you really kind of build this like insular little bubble of art think and art community when you're studying art and involved in that life. And since I've been a bit removed from it for a couple years, yeah, you just don't worry about it anymore. Uh, Something I want to add here, though, that I thought was something that stuck with me since my studies is just the power or the like worthiness of being humble in the arts. I had a professor that I didn't really like his work when I was a student, and he and I disagreed a lot, butted heads. But yeah, a couple of years after that, I had the realization, wow, he still sticks to his guns and still makes his work year in and year out. So yeah, I respect that a lot. So CritHub started as Crit Club, which was a university club Ashley and I did when we were studying art. It started as a group to do real, fine art critiques, because some people didn't take critique very seriously in classes, especially if it was like a intro class and they weren't too serious about it. So we started there and really took off. We had a lot of good feedback. And later we thought about putting it online, offering it to other people, students, people building portfolios. So it's kind of a back burner project now. Hopefully we get back into it sometime. Ashley and I are both really busy, so we'll see. That's one to look out for. Where do I see the future of art going? Well, recently was reading about some cool projects using blockchain and augmented reality. There's like some cool projects out there to document the world space, like treasure hunt based. So you can use your phone, kind of like Pokemon Go, something like that. It's a crowdsourcing technique to create a whole second world in AR. And I think that's going to open up to a lot of really cool installation-based art in augmented reality.